brought my garden with me when I moved. My landlord called me a lunatic when he saw the 47 potted plants and 3 raised garden beds I hauled into my new backyard. The moving guys were sweating bullets trying to carry my massive monstera through the doorway. My neighbors definitely thought I was nuts when I spent my first weekend digging up their perfect grass to plant tomatoes. But this garden wasn't just plants to me. It was my escape from everything that had gone wrong in my old life. See, I'd been living with my ex-boyfriend Trevor for 3 years in this tiny apartment with 0 outdoor space. I kept all my plants crammed on windowsills and scattered around our cramped living room. Trevor hated them. He'd constantly complain about the dirt getting everywhere and how my watering schedule was annoying. He once threw away my favorite snake plant while I was at work because he said it was taking up too much space on his gaming desk. The worst part was when I started growing vegetables in containers on our fire escape. I had these beautiful cherry tomatoes and some herbs going. Trevor lost his mind and said I was being embarrassing, that the neighbors would think we were poor. He made me throw everything out. That night I cried harder than when my mom died. These plants were the only thing that made me feel calm, the only thing that was truly mine. When I finally worked up the courage to leave Trevor, I knew I had to find a place where I could have my garden back. I spent weeks looking for rentals with yard space, even if it meant paying more rent. When I found this little house with a decent backyard, I didn't even care that it was 20 minutes further from work. I signed the lease that same day. Moving day was chaos. My friend Jake helped me pack everything, and he couldn't believe how many plants I had accumulated in storage at my mom's house. Turns out, after Trevor made me get rid of my fire escape garden, I'd been secretly buying more plants and hiding them at my mom's. She never said anything, just let me keep adding to the collection in her greenhouse. The landlord, Mr. Peterson, showed up right as we were unloading the moving truck. His face went from confused to horrified as he watched me carry out plant after plant after plant. Then came the raised beds I'd ordered online, still in boxes. He stood there with his mouth hanging open as Jake and I started assembling them right on his lawn. That's when he called me a lunatic, said he'd never seen a tenant bring their own garden to a rental property. I told him flat out that these plants were non-negotiable, and if he had a problem with it, I'd be happy to break my lease and find somewhere else. He backed down real quick when he realized he'd lose a good tenant over some vegetables. The neighbors were a different story. The lady next door, Helen, came over the first weekend to introduce herself and found me on my hands and knees, ripping up chunks of grass to make room for my tomato beds. She asked what I was doing, and when I explained, she got this weird look on her face. I could tell she thought I was destroying property or something. But here's the thing about gardening that people don't understand. It's not just about having pretty plants or fresh vegetables. When I'm out there watering my basil or checking on my pepper plants, my brain finally shuts up. All the anxiety about Trevor, about moving, about starting over, it all just disappears. My hands get dirty, my back gets sore, and for a few hours I remember who I was before everything went sideways. 3 months later, my garden was thriving. My tomatoes were producing like crazy. My herbs were taking over their section, and I even had some flowers growing along the fence. Helen changed her tune